So let me turn now to Steve Sherrill. What do you want to talk about? Steve, welcome.
I know you can't see all of me. I'm Kilroy tonight. But anyway, what I want to talk about tonight is micro layout ideas or creating scenes on your own railroad. So let me here's my micro that I've taken to a couple of shows, and it looks like this. The idea here was to have some operation in a 12-inch by 20-inch layout. And this particular one is on a Lazy Susan. It's got several interesting features. It's got a sector plate here. It's got a sector plate here. It's got a stub switch here, and it has the turntable that's made out of a DVD. Okay. So the object is you have two cars here, and they have to be switched over to this area here, which is the main line. So it's coming from an industry. They're unloaded and go over to the main line. So you have a facing point switch and a trailing point switch. So you have to use the turntable for a runaround. Okay, that's the idea on that one. But let's say we wanted to change or create a new look on that particular layout. Okay, let's do, and we're only going to do it with two things. Okay. So now that's all we did was that. And we created an entirely different look. Now, of course, the backdrops, these would be removed. Back here, those would be removed. But at a train show, I came up with this piece, which is a very nice rock formation. It's about a foot by, I guess, 8 inches, 9 inches. And this was a scratch-built station that a friend of mine, Steve Fisher, built. All right, now, on this railroad, it'd be a little bit hard to use this. This is mainly so that you get an idea of what you can do with just a couple of items to create a small railroad. Now, normally on a micro layout, there would probably be a circle around this. And so what we have done, we have just created a scene and used that as a basis for a small, portable micro layout. This type of layout is becoming more and more popular, and at train shows, you see a lot of them. At Al Judy's O-Scale show, we saw 10. As in June before that, I think there were 7. So they're increasing in popularity because you can build one structure and build an entire scene around it, and plus have movement. Now, since I'm battery powered, I don't have to worry about any wiring on any tracks, and that makes a big difference. I actually started to wire one of these once after I put the track down. It became a nightmare for me, so I just tore the wires out and said, "The heck with it." But on this particular one, I use. If you remove this, you can see this even has some depth to it too. I don't know where this came from, but I bought it for $5 at a train show, and I thought it was a really good deal. So we go back to this. We have two 18-foot cars here and a Davenport. That's an Owen. This is Owen 30. These are flats. This is made by Paper Creek. This one came from some company in Virginia. I don't know if they're still in business or not. This is a Wooden Scenics little structure. And this one over here is a plastic bill. I made the loading platform, which is only about 1 inch wide. And so when you put a car up to it, you get the illusion that it's a pretty wide platform. The roof there is just paper creek also. So this is what you can do in just a small area. It didn't take long to build. And I then created and put weathered wood front finish. And of course, it's on a lazy Susan until it turns. I can't turn it all the way now because the walls in here. Normally in my training room, I would have plenty of room to do this. So as these layouts become more and more popular, you can go online and see in the YouTube, you look up micro layouts and you can watch these all day that people have built. There's some very well-known people in California who have get-togethers. Dave Meek, I believe, is one of them. If you look up that site, micro layouts, you'll see that there are just lots of really, really nice ones. This is a good way also to introduce people to model railroading in a small area. It doesn't cost much for the equipment. You buy used equipment and put on here. It's just another way to introduce people to model railroading. We think they have to have a large empire to have fun. I know when I take these to shows, they don't realize how much you can really accomplish with one of these little micro or small layouts. A micro layout is usually less than 2 by 4 feet. After that, you become a full-size layout. Those are the only restrictions in the classification for that. Most of the cars that I run on mine, also on the other ones that I have, are the ones by Carroll Creek Design. That's Bob Gelmacher, who's on here. He 3D prints the cars, and they're very, very nice cars. Very reasonably priced, and they fit on these small layouts with tight radiuses. We're usually running less than 10-inch radiuses on here, so we have to run small locomotives and cars. So that's about, if anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to answer as you know, as well as I can on them. That's about all I have tonight.
I think you did a great job.
I have a question,
And
Steve.
I tell you, I think a lot of modelers are really interested in doing what you showed tonight, Steve. So thank you.
Okay. So what's the
I
question?
have one question.
Yeah.
That one set of tracks that comes in, is that a movable track from each one of those sections to your
Yes.
turntable?
Yes.
Ah, neat. I like that.
There's a stop that I can't, in other words, I can't push it forward to make it unline up, and I can't pull it this way. You do have to line up the middle one. And Bob Gelmacher made that little addition with a little handle. And so I put that on there. He does a lot of things for me. And of course, the turntable is made from a DVD. So the turntable, that's it. And it has magnets and screws so that it lines up. And you just press it on.
Neat.
And so you could actually, you can make this, now this is ON30 or HO scale. You could also put an N scale track on there and make an even longer one. It'd be a little difficult to put O scale, but you could. You could put an O scale track if, you know, you did it right. I've never seen it, but I'm sure you could do it. But this is all HO track that I bought used. The switches are used. Didn't cost much to build at all. I'd say everything there was probably less than $25.
Wow.
To do that. So, you know.
Very nice.
So,
Anybody have any more questions?
What kind of tree you got right there?
it's a
What
sage,
brand is that?
it's a sagebrush.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's a sage, yeah. Yeah. And it's just
Beautiful.
got over it for the branches.
So let me understand this. You went outside and cut some sagebrush, brought it in and put it on.
No.
That's what I was
No,
thinking.
I've got friends that have been out west and brought back, so I've got barrels of this stuff.
But that's real sagebrush, right?
Yep.
That
Yeah.
would be a good tutorial in and of itself right there.
I think it would too, because I've never heard of that.
Well, it used to be quite popular, and a lot of the ON3 people use them. You have to really work with them and shape them. They go out in the desert sometimes. There was a company that used to sell these, and they went to the desert, they gather them up, and then they would cut them, and they would actually create the armature. And then they had some huge ones. They had some like 14-inch, 18-inch trees. They were huge. I think that company's out of business now. But
So
Hey,
so
Steve,
where would a modeler go to get sagebrush?
you can go to Scenic Express.
Well,
Yeah.
also what I'm asking is that a live tree that's on your layout that's been cut down, or did you add anything to that, or
No.
is it just as it is off the
yes,
off the tree?
yes, it's just as it is.
Wow.
Yeah. But Scenic Express has some, Bob?
Yeah, they sell boxes of sagebrush, and normally you can take the super tree material that comes with that and super glue it to the sagebrush armature, and you get a pretty nice tree.
Hmm.
And it comes
Yeah.
in all different scales.
Frankly, that's a pretty nice looking tree right there.
Yeah,
All
what he did seems to be a little bit cheaper though.
Yeah.
Orange sedum is another one that you can use
Yeah.
as an armature. Cut the buds off and everything.
Yeah.
I've got those people use, but just the one tree is all I really wanted for this particular scene. You have a problem, you can't push it over too far because then you can't clear the cars. I actually had to put it back more.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't want to take away from that. I just couldn't help but notice how amazing that tree looked.
Yeah. Well, again, it's probably 7 inches high, which is still pretty small in HO. I mean, in O scale.
What about like in Florida, if you got a cypress twig, would that look something like sagebrush?
I do not know. I'll tell you what,
Either.
I've heard a lot of modelers that use branches of certain trees, but then they have to flock them themselves. But you said you didn't add
Yeah.
anything to this, and that's why I'm so intrigued.
I added the fabric on here. I did not add the armature. There's nothing added. That's the way it comes. That's a branch.
But all the greenery and the it looks like the microfiber material that
Right.
supports the greenery, that's all been added.
That's right, exactly. Yeah,
Oh, okay. So I misunderstood. Okay. Either way, it looks amazing. Either way.
yeah. But I also added the little fencing on.
Steve,
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jim.
Steve, I've heard it's dangerous to take stuff out of your yard, bring it in and just put it on your model railroad. Do you treat this in some way for
No.
kill bugs, insects, that kind of thing?
I don't think
You
it's
just
ever been
bring it in
treated.
and plop it down.
Well, I got it. I
I'll
got
be
a
darned.
bag from somebody who had stored it for years, and they gave it to me, and I just worked with it to put it on the layout.
Jim,
But
that just adds
Yeah.
extra animation.
Yeah, well, hey, bugs, they got to
Yeah,
live.
bugs and things like that.
They're just little birds. I think didn't Howard Zane start doing the thing with kind of treating them with glycerin or something like that to preserve them?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Some people,
I think he did.
Yeah, you can do that with like lichen or material like that. And I think it's like 1 part glycerin to 10 parts water. And you can
Yeah,
actually
you're
dye
exactly
it.
right. It was lichen that he was doing.
Yeah, and
Yeah, you're right.
you
Yeah.
could dye it at the same time. And I've had some lichen like that really you could crumble it in your hands. That's how brittle it was. And once you soak it in that material,
Mhm.
it stays pliable for almost forever, to tell you the truth.
now that this tree,
Yeah.
I've had it for over 25 years.
Jeez.
It was actually on another part of my railroad. I took it off.
And you didn't treat it with anything to preserve it.
Nothing.
Well,
Nothing.
you know,
That's hard to believe.
I go out to Bena, which is east of here, about 15 miles. It's an old flag stop on the SP, and there's all kinds of sagebrush out there. And I just get the dead stuff. I don't get any greenwood, and I don't have to do anything to it except add some greenery and plop it down.
Yeah. That's it.
Hmm.
That's it. Makes a nice tree, doesn't
Truly,
it?
Gordon,
wonder-
Can I say something else that's nice about sagebrush? I've used it in some dioramas. It also makes good dead trees. This is a diorama I made, and I just used a little piece of sagebrush over here on the right for a dead tree. And I didn't have to do anything to it except stick it in the foam.
yeah, I think
Jeez.
Boomer Diorama from Canada did the same thing, I believe, and his looks amazing.
I'll tell you, if you want to make big tree stumps, you know, with root looking out offsprings, get a pumpkin stem.
Yeah, right.
A pumpkin stem is a magnificent stump.
Is that
So
going
right-
to translate into N scale?
Well, you have
In
You
the
have to-
land
you
of
have
the giants. Yeah.
you have to get a gourd, a small pumpkin.
Very small.
At armatures is if you grow tomatoes, have a patch of tomatoes,
Yeah.
after you've harvested, you pull the plant out, look at the root structure and cut that off and dry it.
Okay, so what's the process of drying it correctly so that you don't have the issue with bugs and mold and all that?
Well, when I pick my own lichen, and then if you're worried about bugs, put it in a plastic bag, spray in some bug spray and seal it up and just leave it like that for a week and then bring it back out, air it and let it dry.
Call Orkin.
Well, yeah, but I'm just
That
saying,
costs
like,
money.
if I were to take anything that I found in the natural world and translated it into my layout, is there a kind of a proper process that you do to ensure that it doesn't cause issues in the future? Let's say 5 months down the road to 10 years down the road. Is there a process?
Well,
I
I've
think
heard if people are putting dirt from their yard on their layout, they'll sometimes put it in an oven at about 250 to 300 for 15, 20 minutes.
yeah.
But there's a lot more organic living material in dirt than there is in a dead tree or a shrub that's been dead for a year or more. It really doesn't have much on it except what it might have picked up from your skin carrying it in.
Yeah, we don't have to do that in West Virginia because even the bugs moved away from us.
So basically the same process that I use to make my own ground flock out of sawdust, just bake it.
Yeah. I've never done that, but I've heard of people that have done it. Put it in the oven.
Or a portable nuclear generator, you can just irradiate anything.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, but I behaved myself.
Well, yeah, I know all the Home Depot people by name now because I go and I gather all their leftover sawdust. And then I make my own ground material out of that. But I have to bake it first. But I really thought that had something to do with, letting the glue adhere to it, the paint. adhere to it properly. I really didn't think about it being kind of neutralizing anything that would be harmful
Yeah,
to your layout. But I guess if it's the same process, then that works. Just bake it.
Yeah.
well, Steve, you've come up with a great thing to talk about tonight. Thank you so very much, and I love the layout that you built for $20.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yes, sir.